Welcome back to the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. I'm Tyson Mudrix, and right now I'm with Steven Lefkoff, and we're going to talk about his MaxLawCon 2021 topic. Before I do, Steven, tell me what's going on down in Georgia. You're having some power outages.
Bro, it is crazy. It's crazy. So we had, over the last 2 days, we've had some crazy storms come through. And you and I were supposed to get on this, about 2 hours ago, but I had no cell service, no Wi-Fi, which if you want to talk for an entire episode of your podcast, we could, about how strange it is to be unable to communicate with anybody, which is what I just went through. So we're now at my parents' house where their power just went off about 15 minutes ago and then came back on 5 minutes later. And, but I'm not letting anything stop us from getting together.
Yeah, you say that, but now in like a minute you're gonna lose power, and this is all gonna get shut down. But thanks for that. So your topic, I'm gonna read this, is from idea to execution: how I created a legal product. And you created something that many people know about, not everybody, called Gavel. And let's talk about the origin story. I hate when people say this, origin story. How did you come up with this idea of Gavel, and what is it?
Sure. So I represent, in my legal practice, I represent a lot of companies in the car space, dealers, finance, repair, that kind of thing. And they would send me, in a lot of cases, to small claims court because they had a lot of consumer complaints or other finance issues, things that were under $15,000 in Georgia, which is the limit for the small claims here. And I would go to court and I would see people lose cases that they should win. Not my cases, of course. They lost cases because I beat them. But other cases I would see in calendar calls, and I'd see folks, they didn't bring the right evidence. They didn't have the right witnesses. I once saw a guy had to leave court to go feed a meter. And while he was out feeding the meter, the judge called the calendar. He wasn't there. And the judge ruled in the plaintiff's favor, gave him in the defendant's favor, dismissed the case for want of prosecution because the guy wasn't there. And I'm sitting there in the pew going, this is just not right, man. This is not how it should work. But it makes good sense because you have a lot of people who have never been to court before, may never go back to court again, and have no clue what they're doing representing themselves in these $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 cases. So I kind of went to the drawing board and said, there's got to be something in the legal community. There's got to be something that we can do to help educate people on how to handle cases themselves when it doesn't make financial sense to hire an attorney. And that's where Gavel was born, which is an online course it's got 75 lessons from the very beginning of why we have small claims court, all the way to appeal and collection at the end on how to basically do a case yourself.
I love it. And I don't want you to give away too many of the details as to how you did it, because you're going to talk about that in October. But it does seem to me like I see a lot of people and hear a lot of people over the last 5 years since Jim and I have been doing this podcast. We hear a lot of people talk about how they want to build something like what you've done. Do you hear those same sort of echoes from people, or like conversations with people? Hey, I want to build a legal product of some sort.
Oh my God, man. So it's like pervasive in the community. The want to build is, everyone's got it. So many people have the want to build. So few people have the do to build, right? They haven't done the build. They have the idea in their head. They think it's a great idea, but they haven't pushed the button like you once told me to do, right? They haven't recorded the live video. They haven't made the course. They haven't created the PDF. They haven't done the things that you just got to do. And sometimes, like in my case, COVID helped, frankly, because the court's closed. And so I didn't have to go to court for my law firm. I had some time on my hands. I was like, let's just do this. Let's get it done. And that's what happened. But yeah, it's what's cool is I have learned through this process that the community of course creators, of inventors, of entrepreneurs, they're so giving, right? Like you and Jim are. Y'all are so unbelievably giving of your time and of your knowledge and resources. And that's what I want to be, right? I want to be giving. And that's part of the reason I'm so excited to present in October, is to be a giver and kind of give back from all the folks that I've leaned on to do this. But in doing that, over the last few months since Gavel's launched, I can't tell you how many calls I've gotten, emails I've gotten. How did you do that? I've wanted to do this for years. I have this great idea, but I can't seem to get over the hump, right? I don't know what to do next. I don't know what the next steps are, man. It's all the time.
I mean, I do think it's going to benefit a lot of people. I think it's great that just the whole idea of it, you're helping a lot of people that are underrepresented, which is awesome. I think you're also going to help a lot of lawyers create things that I was really impressed how quickly you put it together. I think you benefited from your brother a little bit because you combined your knowledge with his expertise as well. You put those two together, which is fantastic. Not everybody's got that relationship, but you took advantage of the resources you had. And I was actually I've never told you this. I was sort of blown away by like how quickly you've done it. It was really impressive once you push the button. Now, I want to talk about that a second. I mean, I may have said push the button, but you're the one that had to do it. Like, what got you over that hump? Like you sat around with this idea for I don't know how long, and finally, like, you know what, I'm going to do this. Like what was it? Like what got you over that hump?
So I realized a couple of things. Number one, I'm not getting any younger, right? And someone else is going to do it if I don't. So I'm sitting on this idea. The longer I sit on it, the more worried I am that somebody else is going to do it. And I'm going to go, darn, that was my idea. They took it and they did it. And now I'm just sitting here running my law firm like every other law firm owner with this thing that passed me by. So there was that piece of it. There was also I overcame a lot of fear by pushing the button. And when you told me to just do that, just push the button, and for those watching, what he meant is just press record, right? If you're making, like in my case, I was making an online course. I had the table of contents pretty much done. I had that fear of, am I going to sound foolish? Am I not going to sound like I know what I'm talking about? Is my voice right? Do I have the right microphone? Do I have the right lighting? Well, it turns out I'm not even on any of the videos. So I spent all this time worried about my camera and my green screen. I took 10 videos of me on the screen, and my wife and I both watched them, and she looked at me and said, nobody wants to watch you talk. Nobody. I said, I want to watch me talk. She goes, okay, you're the only one. Make them for yourself, right? If that's what you're going to do. And so I had all this stuff, had all this equipment, threw it all out, resold it, got rid of it, pushed the record button on the audio, and just started talking. I mean, there's something. So I host the Lawyers with Lives podcast, right? And I interview a lot of attorneys all over the country about their hobbies. And a lot of us don't give ourselves credit for the things we know and how well we know them, right? Like, I didn't think I was going to be able to just start talking about this stuff without getting a horn book and going to Westlaw and verifying this law and verifying that law. Well, shoot, after 10 years of practice, I happen to know some things that I didn't think I knew. And so getting over that, man, that was the big deal, right? Is realizing I knew something and being confident in my ability to know it and then to recite it. And that's really what it took.
I'm going to call the recording without you being on the screen the Joey Vitale method, because that's something that we implemented with Maximum Lawyer Minimum Time that Jim and I did. We're like, you know what, we don't need to be on the screen. We're on the screen, I think, for the intro or something. But after that, no one wants to look at us for however many hours. They just want the content. They don't care about you. So it's a good little lesson for people. Like, hey, you don't have to be on the screen if you don't want to. They just care about the content. So record the content, put some slides up, and that's all they really care about. So I don't want to give out too much more of what you're going to talk about. What are you most excited about when it comes to the conference?
So the brain power at this conference is unbelievable. I've told countless people here in Atlanta and around the country that I'm friends with, that are college buddies and that are now lawyers here locally, that this is the conference to go to. I mean, folks watching this have heard it a million times, and they're in the group and they've seen it, and this, that, and the other. But it's a combination of value. Number one, right? This isn't a $3,000 3-day conference where you're like, shoot, that's a real, that's a burden financially. So there's that piece. St. Louis is super easy to get to. And the people are awesome. I call this group, I think I've told you this, Tyson, before. They're my legal pen pals, right? These are folks that you're going to get along with. You're going to be able to really, I'm a curse for a second, shoot the shit with, right? And connect with on more than hey, I'm at a conference. Did you get what that person just said? Did you take a picture of that slide? Can you share that with me? It's more than that, right? It's how have you changed your practice in the last year? What are some of the things you're working on? And you may be a personal injury attorney, and the guy next to you might be a criminal defense attorney. And shoot, I'm a business litigator, right? There aren't that many of us in the group. There are family law attorneys. There's all these other people. But the thing everyone seems to have in common is that they're interested in their professional growth and they're interested in their personal growth. And that's different than a lot of other CLE events. It's different than a lot of other conferences. It's unique in the Max Law community.
I agree. You said it best. Good job. So last thing, how do people get in touch with you? And if they want to know more about Gavel, how do they find out more information?
Yeah, I would love to entertain any questions people have. So they can go to www.gavel.legal, GAVEL.legal, or they can email me, Steven, STEVEN, @gavel.legal.
I love it. Thanks, man. I can't wait to see you in October, but I will see you before then because we're in the guild together. So it's good seeing you. Thanks for sharing, brother.
Yes, you bet. Guild, best money anyone can ever spend.
You know what?
So
I agree. So thanks, man. Talk to you soon.
All right, buddy.
See you, buddy.
Bye.